sparrows in the sky. Though it may seem today that I'm so far away from you, you never have to fall, 'cause I'm right here before you call my name. And I'll come running to heal you, feel you, take you by the hand, and I'll show you the way to where I am. All you should know that I will never ever go away. As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky. Forget your yesterday, for when this night to brand new day gives way. Your life, your breath renewed, a ray of sun reminds you it's okay. You'll never be alone if you feel me, hear me, take me into your heart, and we'll never ever have to part. You should know that I will never ever go away. As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky.
Never have to worry about a thing. Don't have to worry, you will never have to worry about a thing. Don't have to worry about a thing.
Thought you should know that I will never ever go. As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky. Oh yeah, don't worry. Said I never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Consider the lilies, how they grow. Whatever you need, your Father knows. Oh, come on, let me say.
You'll never. Don't you know you never have to worry? I will always be there. Oh yeah, said you will never have to worry. You will never have to worry. Oh, yes.
If you only knew what I do for you, it'd just be me and you, nothing that we couldn't do. If you only do what I asked you to, I would make your dreams come true. If you only knew. For so long I've been waiting to spend some time with you. You don't know, you cannot imagine the things that we could do. You can't even understand. If you would only let me in, I would do something special just for you. All you gotta do is say begin. I have so many plans for me and you. If you only knew. If you only knew what I do for you, it'd just be me and you, nothing that we couldn't do. If you come true. If you only knew. Why don't you? Can we go somewhere just me and you? Just the two. Don't delay. It's your day. Would it be okay? Just let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Taking places that you've never been. Answer all of the questions you never asked. Oh, you never asked. If you would only take my hand. No more sorrow, no more pain. Never ever hurt again. I'll give you shelter from my rain. All I really want to say is I love you. Let me take you in my arms and just fly away. Ooh, never let you go, baby. Don't wake up tomorrow may never come. Just be me and you. Nothing that we couldn't do. If you only do what I asked you to, I will make your dreams come true. If you only knew, if you only knew what I do for you. It'd just be me and you. Nothing that we couldn't do. If you only do what I asked you to, I would make your dreams come true. If you only knew. Just between you and me, this is nice. There's no tricks. Ooh, this love is just between you and me. This is nice. Ooh, there's no tricks. This love is just what do I have to do to let you know? Should I make your flowers grow? Should I make it rain or snow? Yeah. So many things I've done just for you. Forest green and ocean blue. Just to show my love is true. Just between you and me. This is nice. There's no tricks. This love is so real just between. This is nice. There's no tricks. This love is so real, yeah. Don't you know I taught the birds to fly, hung the stars up in the sky? Can you guess the reason why? Can you take more than a passing glance? Nothing is by happenstance, yet you think it's just by chance. Just between you and me. This is not no tricks. This love is so real. Between you and me. This is not. There's no tricks. This love is so real. Ocean deep, river wide, valley low and
What's up, y'all?
Hey, everybody.
So we are back in our regular location, back in the lab, as they would say. Hey, Madeline, good to see you. And we got Kim Booker and Primo on here.
What
Primo,
up?
what Primo
What
talking
up, Gary?
about? Share your best joke. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry.
I can make you laugh right now.
Okay.
Primo Tivo Davis.
Wow.
How's it going?
How you gonna joke on him like that?
Just kidding.
What up, Akua?
Oh, man. What's up, Cool?
Hi, everybody.
So we're excited to be back home. We drove all night well, that's not true. It was really all morning.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago and made it back home safely. Thank you for your prayers for that. It was a good time away. We talked about it already. We were gone basically for 3 weeks. And a large chunk of that was spent in the hospital and in and out of the hospital with April's dad and stuff. And I guess
he's doing a lot better.
Oh, he's doing
way better.
Probably 150%
Yes.
better. I mean, it's
so
like
thank you
crazy.
for your prayers, guys. It was
So it's been good.
scary,
It's been an eventful time. We're glad to be back home.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so are you sharing stuff?
I'm about to.
Go ahead and do that
Okay.
while I'm
All
talking.
right.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so couple of things I just want to say really quickly. Number one, last night was the NBA Finals, and I don't know if you were disappointed at the result or not.
What up, Jared?
How were you? Oh, Jared's here. Wow, it took him a long time to come back. You must have been like choir touring or something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what was going on with you. So what was your? Did you like the results?
Well,
of the NBA
I was
Finals?
not happy that it was not the Hawks,
Oh,
but
brother, we already know the Hawks were gonna
but
win.
I have never, ever in my life,
Hey, Angie.
Angie, I have never in my life gone for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Right.
Ever.
You never rooted
like,
for them,
I don't even
huh?
watch the regular game. Like, I care nothing. You
Right.
hear me? But I love Giannis.
Yeah,
and
you do.
I love him so much. So
Yeah.
I was very, very happy.
Yeah, it worked
I mean,
out well for him.
I like Chris. and
He's a
everything.
humble guy, and
Yeah.
his whole family now has championships.
I know. I love
His
that.
other brother, he's got a brother on the team with him that just won one, and then another brother in LA. So that was cool.
I love that.
So anyway, Jared says he's been in the trenches working. Thank you for doing that hard work for us, man. At April's alma mater.
Yes.
Pine Forge
PFA.
Academy. Such a yes.
Don't be hating because you're not from the
Oh,
ball.
brother. Anyway, so that was big news, obviously. So congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks. And I don't know anybody on this show, not one person has ever once said they're a Bucks fan. So I don't want to hear that tonight. Don't be acting
No, so
like,
Primo,
you know
be
what I'm saying?
quiet.
We
Okay.
already know Primo is
Be
a 76ers
quiet,
fan. We know
Primo.
that. We already know
Okay.
that. So that's not anything.
Yes.
But I don't know if anybody that watches this show actually watches the Bucks. Anyway, so congratulations to them. Congratulations to the Hawks for going as far as they did. You know.
Yes.
And to my Knicks for,
And congratulations to
you
the
know.
Hawks for beating the Knicks. That was great.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, and that'll be happening again
Right.
next year.
Okay, so
So-
the second thing is, while we were away, we celebrated our 20th anniversary of our accident. Those of you that know the story, we were in a near-fatal car accident several years ago, and really should not be here. But we just celebrated 20 years of still being alive, which is
Yeah.
crazy because we should have been dead at age 22.
Yes.
And so we praise God for that. So our discussion for today has something to do with that whole thing.
And we'll get into
We'll
that.
get into that
We'll
later. But just wanted to mention it again, just in case. We also are now. So when we first started doing this, there were people that were asking us, "Is your podcast available as an audio version only?" We have like 90 episodes now, just the podcast now. The stuff where, when you watch us on YouTube, we have our mics in front of us. That's the podcast. It comes out
Right.
on Fridays. We finally, after 2 years, got those episodes on Apple Podcasts and anywhere else that podcasts are found. You can find our podcast.
What are the other? I don't know the other places.
Google something, Google Play.
I
I
only
think
go
it's
to
called.
Apple, but yes.
Anyway, so you can
Yes,
find us
it's
pretty
right
much
there.
everywhere now.
Yeah.
So feel free to check us out.
I have some friends who are like, man, I would watch you guys if you were, on, what is it? Apple Podcast, whatever. So now you can listen.
Right. So
as you drive to
there's
work.
Spotify, there is Google Play, there is
I think
Apple.
Audible has some.
Audible? Really?
I think Audible has podcasts, doesn't it?
Maybe.
Oh,
Audible
yes.
does too.
Yes, I think
You're,
you're right.
you're hearing the voice of one of our guests for
Yes.
tonight.
Okay.
A familiar voice that you know.
Yes.
Yes, see Google Podcast. Anyway, the
Okay,
point is, just
okay.
look up Just John and April anywhere your podcasts are found, and you should see them. I think we have like the first 40 episodes uploaded. I don't know if we've gotten any farther than that yet, but keep looking. All 90
Yes.
will be on there soon.
Yes.
And yeah, exactly. The voice from the back, Camila. That's coming up soon. You'll see the actual face, and of course, Madeline recognizes that voice and says, "Claire, hi." So anyway, we're excited about that. I love John Stephen Dixon's face with the voice from heaven chimed in, and he said chime. That's a good point. Claire's like an actual chime since she's family. Okay, so I think we should talk about our sponsor one more time very quickly. This is the people that we are excited about being a part of their thing soon. Uh-oh, I didn't mean to do that. Boom.
Okay.
It's brothersgolf.com. This is our tournament that's coming up in October that we're inviting you to join. April and I are planning on being there. We've been looking at the dates, trying to figure out if we can make it work. We want to go.
Hopefully
and we think you should too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so today we are sponsored by the Brothers and Sisters Invitational, a 4-day golf tournament in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. This tournament has been played for over 50 years since 1968, and they believe community and fellowship happens on the golf course. We think you can use this as a great couples getaway. This will be held on October 3rd through the 6th at the beautiful Legends Resort in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So even if one of you does not golf, okay, if you don't play golf, you can still enjoy being your partner's caddy as you ride around the beautiful golf course of the Legends Resort. For our listeners only, register by August 1st for the early bird special with the promo code CHIMES10 for 10% off at brothersgolf.org.
Yes. Thank you, babe. That was excellent. Good read.
Thanks.
I'm excited about this thing, and we really want to see Primo and Shalita there, especially since they're another golf couple that we know about. And he just put up on, I'm not even going to put this on the screen. If we come and win, April may never speak to me again. That's what Primo just said.
That's not going to happen.
I'm not
if you
putting that-
come and we go,
I'm not even putting that on the screen.
don't put that on the screen. But you wanted to talk about the whole golf thing.
You know, the thing about golf is there is an aspect of it that, in my opinion, is sort of around self-care and maybe even affects mental health. It helps mine.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm having a tough week and I go out and I walk a golf course and I see how green and lush it is, and then I start pounding on this white ball, something about that for me, it really helps. I'm serious, man.
No, it is. It is.
And so
It
we're
is.
going to be talking about some areas of mental health for this episode today, and so we think this fits perfectly.
Golf
You know what I'm
definitely
saying?
fits in with
Yeah.
that.
So anyway, I think you should try it. Check them out. Go to the website now. See what it's talking about, and use our code CHIMES10.
Yes.
And we'll see you in October.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 2 guests on our show today, and actually, I didn't have time to put one of the guests on the screen, so I'm going to do it right now.
It's me, guys.
It's not.
Surprise.
It's definitely not April.
Oh.
Uh-oh, I didn't mean to do that. Edit, undo, hide, overlay, camera, David. Boom.
Hey.
There we go. Okay, now we can see them both on the
David's
screen.
camera is way better than mine.
I noticed that.
Oh, don't sell yourself short.
Okay, so real quick, let me just.
Your headphones on.
Yeah, we probably should. Are we echoing into the thing? Like, can you hear us when you hear yourself back? Talk, Claire.
Fine to me.
Okay, good. What about you, David?
I know. It's okay.
You don't hear yourself.
Oh, I
when you-
hear him echoing.
See.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
All right, so we need your where's your
Big-
no, your AirPods.
We're not prepared.
Anyway, so here are 2 guests. Obviously, you guys know Claire. She has been on our show many times. She is our little sister. She is on this show in particular because she is a very big advocate of therapy. Tonight's episode is entitled, Does Everyone Need Therapy? And so we're going to be asking that question as the overarching question for our episode this evening. So thank you, Claire, for being here with us tonight. Claire is a professor, English professor at Southern Adventist University. She has been there for 7 years now.
It's been 10, but thank you.
Whoa! She's been there for 10 years now. I didn't realize it'd been that long. And you deal with students regularly, which I think I'm going to ask you later on, not right now, but I'm going to ask you later on about students that maybe you have recommended to them that they should get therapy and what your reasons were and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, thank you for being here, and we're excited to hear your perspective tonight. David Defoe. I should call you Dr. David Defoe.
No one cares.
So we're glad to have you on the show as well. Dr. Defoe is actually a licensed clinician and comes to us as sort of our expert on the subject. He is maybe, I don't know, that facial expression, maybe you don't want to be the expert. This is just one of our friends that we know that happens to counsel.
I'm just around.
Where'd you put the thingy, babe? Is it on your screen? Let me see.
Okay.
Here.
Yes.
I wanted to see the name of your... David Defoe is the owner and the clinical director of Imara Counseling Services, but he's also the relationships ministry director for the Allegheny East Conference. How long have you been doing that, by the way?
The relationship ministries director?
Yeah.
4 years now.
Okay. And what about your counseling? You've been doing that for longer, I think.
Well, publicly, I've been doing it for like a couple of days. But, it's been about, the way my bank account is set up. You ain't supposed to have these two job things. But no, it's been about 11 years.
Wow.
Has it been that long? Wow.
Yeah. So
That's great.
we're excited to have you on, and we thank you for being here.
An expert.
Yeah. No question. You'll be able to give us some perspective, we think, on reasons why people should get counseling. So let's before we get into it, I want to say one thing as a not really a disclaimer, but I do want to tell people what our intent is. Mm-hmm. We're going to be very open and honest about this. Our intent tonight is to hopefully change your mind, whoever you are that's watching or listening, about therapy. We're April and I have an experience with therapy that was basically accidental. And the experience we had was so impactful that had we realized at the time that it could basically solve our problem, we would have been rushing to find a therapist. But I think we had some preconceived notions about therapy. I think we had some ideas about emotional brokenness and things like that we didn't really understand. I think we were very young, 22 years old.
And it wasn't even on the list as things to do in order to heal.
Correct.
That wasn't even on
that
the
wasn't
list.
even part of it.
Right.
So we're hoping tonight to get our audience to understand more about it. And actually, if there are some negatives that they wouldn't know about unless they watched this program, we're okay with them finding about that too. It doesn't have to be all good, but we do want to introduce them to hopefully something that's going to liberate them and allow them to seek therapy in situations where they might not think it's necessary. So
I'm going to start with this question because and both of you, either you guys can both answer. But the question of the night, and that is, does everyone need it? Like, do you feel like everybody at some point in their lives
could benefit from therapy?
No, need it.
Yeah, right.
Like based on your experience.
Yeah.
So
Let's start
I
with you,
think
Claire.
the answer is yes. And I would say if you grew up in a black church, the answer is definitely yes.
I want you to expound on that later. Let me put that in my notes so we can come back to that.
So I say that because so Kev on stage asked a question recently on his IG that said, name some experience you had in the black church or whatever. And the thread is long with comments.
Yeah.
And I was reading it the other day because it was funny. But then after like 4 or 5 minutes of reading, I started to get angry again. And I'd gotten past my church anger, but I started to get angry again because like some of the things that black people say and do to each other within the walls of the church or within a church family are really atrocious. So honestly, it's funny, but I'm not joking. Like if you grew up in a black church, you definitely.
I thought you were trying to say that there is a negative stigma associated with therapy that tends to be in our community that I think maybe black church doesn't help with necessarily. And so one of the things we're trying to do tonight is really shine a light on that and help our people to say, hey, maybe this is not a bad thing.
Right.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, since Claire is coming out dropping dimes without chasers, we'll just get right into it. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, because the truth of the matter is everyone goes through something, right? And if we extend it beyond just the black church, if you have a black family, one thing we black families do is we love to keep secrets. AA tells us something. You're only as sick as your secrets, right?
Wow.
There's some things that we have to discuss, things that we got to talk about. If you are Black in America, there is trauma that you hold in your body, whether it is realized or whether it is repressed, whether it is suppressed, whatever it is. There's trauma that you hold that you probably sometimes need to talk out so you don't act it out instead. So yes, we all need some help. Just like you go to the doctor, even if you don't have, we all have mental health concerns, right? Just we don't enter into crisis because we're able to deal with those concerns, right? We have the coping mechanisms to deal with them. However, just like you would go to the doctor for an annual checkup, sometimes we need to go to someone, even if it's not long term, just to unload some of the stuff that we carry. And we can tell it to Jesus, but just like you can tell Jesus your foot hurts, if you don't go to the doctor, it's going to get chopped off. So
it's true. Okay.
Good point.
So let me follow up real quick with that, just to ask you this question, because we're both career pastors, and I think you may have received this response. I know I have. Whenever I talk about this kind of thing, there seems to be this feeling that people have that I'm supposed to tell them this, that you're a pastor. Of course, you counsel people, so you're going to tell them that that's what they need. And here you are, you have a counseling service. Of course you're going to tell us what they need. What would you say to that? I mean, how would you convince a person who does not believe that it's necessary that it actually is? Or maybe you can't. Maybe it's not possible. I don't know.
Do pastors who aren't, like good ones like you and me, but do pastors really encourage their members to go seek professional help, or do they sometimes enter into things and situations that they get themselves caught up in where they can't really handle?
Maybe I'm just talking about me and you.
How many times do I hear people talk about someone's being demon possessed, and they're not demon possessed. They need they need to get on some medication.
Right.
They're having some,
They're bipolar, or whatever.
Right. They don't need. You don't need to cast out the evil spirit out of them. You need to go get them some medication. Rest, man. Go take a vacation instead.
Yes.
So yes, we should normalize mental health, so much so that people, when they enter into our doors, of course, the church is a place for healing, right? So the church is the place for brokenness. So when people come into the church broken, the church should connect them with things that can help them begin to heal that brokenness. The church is responsible for the spiritual uplifting of people. But what do we do? We're good with the health message, teaching about eating right and all this kind of stuff. But what do we do to help people get their mind right? Right? So of course we should tell people, but not everybody. Yeah.
Well, you got people amening you.
Yes,
and
preach,
saying
mercy,
and
yes.
all that.
So
okay.
people are agreeing with that.
So Claire, let me ask you, why did you seek therapy? Well, first of all, how long have you been actively involved in getting therapy, and what made you go that route in the first place? Did you have the same hangups that some people have had beforehand, or did you just never have a problem with that and say, I just need to try to find somebody to talk to about this?
You asked me like 5 questions, so
I did. Sorry about that.
So let me start by saying I've been with my current therapist for 3 years.
Okay.
The therapist right before her that I went to, I found because it was right around the time that everybody was dying in the family. Grandma died, Grandpa died, Uncle Phil died, Annalise died. Like a bunch of rapid succession deaths.
We had 4 and 5 years.
Right. And people I'm very close to, particularly Annalise, who I lived with for a while. So those deaths happened in rapid succession, and I wasn't crying about it.
Oh, wow.
So that made me think, I honestly felt like my tear ducts were broken. I felt like my tear ducts were broken. Something was wrong with them.
Wow.
So I said, let me go to a therapist and see if I can, unstick myself. Like I felt like I was kind of emotionally paralyzed a little bit. So that's why I found my first therapist. Went really great. Had a great relationship with her. She found her dream job like a year into me meeting her and moved to Germany.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious?
And left. Then I had a break for maybe a couple of years, and then I decided to start dating again. And I recognized that I didn't want to go into dating the second time the same way I had gone into it the first time, which was just diving right in, because it turned out to be way too overwhelming for me, and I stopped 2 years in because I was like, this is too much. So I went back the second time because I wanted to be more emotionally prepared the second time. And that's the current therapist I'm with right now, 3 years in. And of course, once you start therapy, just a warning to anybody, once you start therapy, you're going to start uncovering things that you didn't go in there to start uncovering. You know what I'm saying? Like I went in there for one thing and like very, very quickly, it turned into something else, at least something else that I didn't expect it to. Now, it turns out the something else that it turned into is connected to my emotions in a very deep way, but I just didn't see it happening that way. I don't think we've ever actually talked about dating in 3 years. I don't think we ever talked about it.
Which is why you went in there, but you haven't even talked about that.
Right. But there were these other things, these other like it's a minefield. Like there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So yeah, I've been with her for 3 years. I think I answered all your questions. I think.
I think so.
Yeah, and we're gonna come back to that. But I want to ask David, when you have people come in with a particular issue, how do you, how does it get to the point where you end up coming, what Claire said, you end up bringing out other things that the person didn't even come in for? And how does that work out? Do they end up staying with you longer? Do they feel like, are they mad at you? Because I've heard of people actually being upset because...
This wasn't why I came in here.
Right. And here you are bringing up,
Why are you bringing up old stuff?
This is the thing, right? With therapy and the therapeutic process. Most times people come into therapy because they want to attack a behavior. There's this equilibrium in a relationship, right? They're dealing with life's exigencies. They can't handle it, right? Something triggers them. And you realize that you are triggered by a relationship that you're in. And you start to understand that the reason that I'm triggered by what this person does is because it is reminding me of something that I've buried in the past. So now in order for me to correct my behavior in the present, I must deal with the pain from the past. We don't want to go back to the pain in the past because we don't really want to see our pain. We would rather put a Band-Aid in the first place.
Right.
Put a Band-Aid on it, fix my current condition. But what we don't understand is the behavior is either rooted from either a choice that we've made. It could be chemistry. It could be conscious. It could be all kinds of things that have contributed to the choices or the decision-making systems that I have. It could be familial. I could have had some trauma that now I may have repressed or I may not have understood at the time, but now I act out my trauma. A lot of people come into therapy with behavior problems or challenges in their behavior, especially, and I know you all see it in relationships. People come in challenged in their behavior, and you realize that the reason they act this way is that they're stuck in some phase in their life where they either, where something terrible happened or they experienced a traumatic situation. They've dealt with a death. And they don't ever progress cognitively, emotionally from that point that stopped them. And this is one of the things that I think Claire mentioned, and it's something that's real to us now, especially as my conference grieves the loss of our president, is many people like to put grief away into the side. So when we do that, grief then starts to take root in us, and it starts to look like anxiety. Holding on to things that you should actually let go of, right? It starts to look like depression, right? But it's not either one of those things, it's grief. So because we don't sort of deal with and process the losses that we have. This is one of the reasons that when Kobe Bryant died, all of these brothers found it so socially acceptable to start to cry. They weren't necessarily just crying because Kobe died. Those were tears that they've been putting off. Kobe was the catalyst that prompted them to begin to cry, right?
Wow.
Well, when people enter into the therapeutic process and you're like me, okay, you're coming in because your cat keeps peeing in the hallway. Okay, fine. All right. So we can talk about your cat peeing, or we can talk about why. That's completely silly. But or we can talk about how you got to this point, right? We have to talk about the root issue so that we can address it. Awareness is the catalyst for change. If I don't want to see myself, I can't heal myself. And it's not the therapist that heals you. Am I right, Claire?
Right.
Yes,
You have to
absolutely.
heal yourself.
Wow.
All
Okay,
of the work
so
is after
expound
the
on
therapy
that. Expound
session.
on that. Okay, go ahead. What'd you say?
I said all of the work is after the therapy session. It's not even during the therapy session. Like my therapist gives me homework. She gives me homework assignments, and they are excruciating. Like they're very, very difficult. And to be honest, in order for therapy to work, you have to be dedicated to it, because I could go in for my 1 hour, talk to her, and then after I leave, go back to my normal life and not change
Yeah.
anything after the therapy
Wow.
session.
Right.
Wow.
So I definitely agree that my therapist is a huge part of my team right now. But that work is me doing the work. I'm sorry, I can't even.
You can't even give her that credit.
I can't give it to her. Like it's
Right.
hard. It's really,
Right.
really hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and it
Wow.
doesn't end. That's the other thing. Like it's a bottomless pit of hard work.
Okay. So hold on then. Why would anybody want to do it then?
Right.
If
That is a good question.
I feel better. Like I was not living as a whole person before. And I knew I wasn't before, but I didn't know how to fix it or what needed. I didn't know anything. I just knew that I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
So even though the work is very difficult, it's necessary work. And I feel like because I'm a Christian, I feel like the Lord would have orchestrated my circumstances some other kind of way so that I began to tackle these things. But I decided, you know what? Let me just step forward and do this thing.
Yeah.
Let me do it in a way that's most comfortable for me or whatever. And I feel like I definitely feel like the Lord has been in my search for therapists, because I feel like lightning struck twice. I hear people say all the time to be patient with the process, test one person out. If one person doesn't work out, here's how you can find another one. I've heard all those kinds of stories. I didn't have that story. The first therapist I found was amazing. I felt like we were friends. As a matter of fact, she invited me to some stuff outside of therapy, and I started
Wow.
going to like some social things that she invited me to. My second therapist, I feel the same exact way. And I'm like, I struck lightning twice. I never thought that this would happen. And the thing that prevented me for so long from even starting to Google therapists in my area was the idea that the process, even finding one, was going to be a painful, frustrating process. That's
Oh
what
my
stopped me
goodness.
personally,
You are speaking it. Yes.
because I'd heard so many stories. But it was fine. Like once I searched, I found, and done for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know,
Go ahead.
I know for me, I challenge my clients on purpose, man. I'm not a nice person, so I don't try to be a nice therapist because it's going to come off fake. So I believe in authenticity. So my clients come in, and Claire, if they don't do their work, I'm like, okay, well, apparently you came and paid me today to do nothing with you, because obviously you don't want to change. And so that's what you want. Now, I have clients that haven't left me in 6 or 7 years. I try to get rid of them. They don't go away, right? And the thing is, we create a therapeutic process where your therapist, my job is to ask you questions to generate your own introspection, right? And the best thing that I get in therapy with my clients is when they don't know the answers to the questions I ask them. That's when we can then start to do the work, because life is lived not with answers, but with questions.
Yeah,
If we enter the questions and find out, well, why is it that I do this? What is it that is triggering me? What are the things that run through my mind as I make these decisions? We can then start to put the framework in place so that you begin to develop the muscle and emotional memory, so that when these exigent circumstances happen again, or you enter into to some more pain, you then can access the very things that you explored in therapy. So we walk through it in sort of this journey, so that we understand, listen, we don't have all the answers. That's cool, right? You don't like seeing yourself, because no one likes seeing their true selves. We want to be our intended selves, not our true selves. But how do we at least enter into that, so that we can find a way to live a better, happier, fuller, fulfilled life? Because the truth of the matter is, I'm going to carry the pain until I deal with it. And the pain is going to be the biggest decision maker in my life is going to be my pain. No matter how much I try to hide it, the pain will make my decisions. It will control me.
Wow.
If I don't see that pain, and I don't heal from that pain, then I can't even control my own life.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, that is so deep.
Okay, so let me just thank you first of all, because you mentioned it a second ago. We know this is a very tough week for you and for really a bunch of us in this vicinity who knew your conference president. We affectionately call him Butch Fordham, man of God. He and his wife that perished in a fire this week. I think it was early Sunday morning or Saturday, or just Sunday. Not even that many days ago.
Yeah.
And we would have understood completely with your position in the conference office. I'm sure this week has been crazy for you. We would have understood totally if you wouldn't be able to make it here tonight. But we're glad that you still were able to come, especially in a circumstance like this. That is a serious tragedy. And I think most of us associate therapy with tragedy or with just crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that got us to the point to even look out for that.
Well, ours was accidental.
Didn't even think it was accidental, but I'm just saying, like, just allowing it to happen was because of tragedy.
Correct. There was so much pain and so much, so many things that were affecting our relationship and our lives that we were open to something that we wouldn't have been open to before that. My question to you, really, both of you, is I think you mentioned it early on, David, in your opening words about therapy as a check-in or a check-up. What would you say to a person about the benefits of therapy if they haven't necessarily gone through some major, huge thing like that?
Right.
Or everybody probably has, and maybe we just don't recognize it, but what would you say to a person like that? How important is therapy in that situation for a person, just as a checkup or check-in?
And I would say, too, just to add to that question, when you go in to check, I always thought about, if I don't think anything's wrong with me, but I'm just going to go to get a checkup, I'm just going to be sitting there looking at the person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get that started? How can you get down deep with somebody from a check-in if I don't think I'm coming in for it? I'm just coming in because
I'm just trying to see you. Am I right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
how does that work?
Right. Do you have people actually do that?
Yeah, it happens quite often. First, most people, they come to therapy because there's a tragic event or there's some catalyst that pushes them to it. Most people don't change until the pain of staying the same reaches too much to bear, right? And so until I'm driven to it, it with couples, they come not when they're having the start of problems. They happen when they've already tried to shoot each other and they just missed it. So they're like, you know what? Maybe we should go see John in April because we almost just killed each other. Fine. Okay. So we know they come when it's catastrophic, right? On the brink of divorce.
Right.
But what happens if we come together and learn tools while we're still going through the problems as opposed to when the problems have now consumed us? Right?
Wow.
What happens with people as they deal with the stresses of life, as they deal with everyone who's been through COVID probably needs some amount of therapy because something has changed in your life.
Definitely.
Some coping strategy you used to have is not there. We Black people who relied on coming to church and faking like we were okay, we couldn't even do that anymore. Right?
You're right.
Things changed for us, man. What do we do with that change?
Yeah.
Do we just sit on it? Like what do you do? So you'll notice, right? Whenever we don't deal with the things that we go through, it comes out in the form of aggression, comes out in apathy, it comes out in abandonment, it comes out in anger, it comes out, there's another A that I'm missing.
You say aggression?
Adultery. Yeah. It comes out when we don't deal with our pain, it comes out jacked up. We act it out if we don't talk it out. So even if you think you don't have anything to say, there's nothing wrong with me. You go get a physical, even if nothing is wrong with you, right? Because you want to check up. Tell the person that you want to talk to, listen, I don't think I have any issues or any problems. And then they'll say to you, well, that's probably your problem right there. Neither here nor there. Tell them, I don't think I have any challenges, but I want to just get a mental wellness check.
Okay, that's good.
And do you have a list of things you go through, like asking a person when they come for a mental wellness check? I mean, that's a thing.
I just made that up, John. So I have no idea. I don't even know what a mental wellness check is.
That sounds good.
But that's good.
I'm gonna go make me a list and I'm gonna go find a way to maneuver that. Yeah.
So Claire, what about you?
My therapist has actually given me a test twice. She gave me a test my first year, And then a year later, she gave me the same test to see how my scores had changed. I don't know what the test is called, but it's basically an emotional inventory that I use a rating system for. So I actually do get tests.
And did you improve? That's the question. Did you
Did
pass?
it improve?
Yes.
Well, it's not a pass-fail, but
Oh, no, I'm joking.
my scores did change. They didn't change as much as it felt like it should change. But my scores did change. I'll say the real life effects that I felt were not represented in the numbers by any means.
Okay.
My real life effects were much greater than the number, at least from a third person who doesn't go to school for this. Much greater than the numbers. I was like, is it really? That's it? But, baby steps are still steps. So, I mean,
They are.
I've felt them a lot more than the number suggests.
It gets worse before it gets better because you have to bring, you bury stuff to cope, and there's nothing wrong with burying stuff to cope. Okay, fine. You bury stuff because you don't have a safe place to put it. It happens in pastoral ministry all the time, John. Who does the pastor go to unload the miasma of stuff that they carry, right? There's where do we go, right? We don't want to dump it on our wives or
We don't want to dump it on our
children,
wives. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah. So, or it comes from that. Never mind. So where do we go? So I don't even know what I was about to say. What was I saying? See, I went and started playing around.
You were basically saying that
where do pastors
Well, it gets worse. It could get worse.
It gets worse.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Because you open up wounds, right?
Yes.
You reset a bone.
You're opening up wounds, and you're opening up things that you don't even know are there. So here's a good question that
before you move on, let me just say that I've started to equate therapy with renovating a house.
Okay.
When you want to renovate a house, you see something tiny that might be wrong, but you don't have the tools to fix it. So you go hire somebody to fix it. And once they start digging, they find other stuff that's wrong.
True.
And a $500 renovation turns into a $10,000 3-year project. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely gets worse before it gets better. But the blessing that I found in the worst part, first of all, it also ebbs and flows. Like I've had bad times and good times, and we're talking about something right now with my therapist. I know it's going to get bad. I already know.
Oh no!
We finally hit on, and it took 3 years.
Good.
We finally hit on the thing that I know has been the problem all along. But anyway,
wow.
So man, see, now I went off and I forgot what I was saying. Thank you, David.
Way to go, man. Let's see.
What I was saying is, while I was in the worst, I had somebody with me to give me the tools to handle the worst.
Got it.
Whereas before, I was going through stuff with literally no help.
Right.
So it definitely does get worse. And something interesting that I found was that, and I realized my family is watching, so I'm saying this to you now, but I actually grew apart from my family for a little while before I could.
Just kidding.
Before I could grow closer to them again. Like I had to step away.
Yeah.
To work on some things before I could come back.
Yeah,
and I didn't expect that to happen.
Right.
Like those are my family, my closest relationships. And I used to say all the time, if I didn't have any friends, it literally wouldn't matter because I got my brothers, I got my cousins, I got my brothers' wives now. You know what I'm saying? Like I have friends built into my family.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic that I also have friends too. But I'm just saying I didn't expect to have to put some distance between me and my family. My family's amazing.
Right.
That's the other thing. To go back to your first question, does everybody need therapy? I grew up in an amazing family.
Right.
And I
you need
absolutely
therapy. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're saying this is not just for the person who had the hard knock life, who for them nothing went right and they had tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. That's the person we think of when we think of, they need therapy. And someone that has to have gone through the worst possible circumstances or whatever. That's not the only person that needs therapy.
And it makes you feel like you are saying you're that person when you go.
Correct.
That's why some people don't go.
Right.
Because it's then saying, okay, something must be wrong with me or my family or
so there's definitely something wrong with you. You're a sinful person. So there's
a
lot of things wrong with you.
Right.
There's a lot of things wrong with the people that you've surrounded yourself with too.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoever's
They're all
listening,
jacked
that's
up.
just true.
Right.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, so get
So
you some tools to handle it in a healthy way.
Speak to this if you would. We got somebody that asked this question.
Yeah, and I want to ask this question because I'm dealing with this right now. Can we talk about the idea of fit with a therapist? I've been with a therapist for 4 sessions, and I'm not sure I'm being challenged enough. How long should I stick around? And the reason why I said I'm dealing with this is because I can't find one that I feel like. I mean, I haven't actually gone to one yet, but I've been looking. I'm not even at the point of going, and I'm already like, no, that's not a good fit. How do you get past that? Do you go ahead and just do it? Like, and I feel like some people, where I feel like I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't know, can I trust this person? You know, I'm this pastor's wife, folk. You know how that is. You don't want to be everybody in your business, and so that's kind of hard to find out. Like, who do I choose? And like he's saying, you know, how long do you stick around when you feel like this person isn't the right one for you? Do you just move on to another? You know, how does that work? David, what do you think?
What do I think? I think if something is not working for you, you can talk with your therapist. A lot of times I've been told, it's very rare I've been told I don't challenge someone enough, but one person, I thought that they were in a vulnerable state and they couldn't be challenged. And they had the courage enough to say, I feel like you are not digging deep enough with me. And I said, oh, really? Well, thank you for sharing. Because that means now I no longer have to skirt around the fact that you're in pain and can't deal with life and everything is falling apart around you.
Right.
Let's get to work. So part of it is letting the therapist know, because the therapist is there to serve you. Now, if you have a good therapist, your therapist has been broken up with many times. Perfectly fine, right? No one is offended because a client says, you know what? I don't think this is working for me. By all means, please let me help you find a referral, right? Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is sometimes it does take a little while for work to happen, right? It's hard for work to be done with people who are mute, right?
That's true.
And I see a lot of guys for therapy, and a lot of them don't want to access the emotions that actually heal the heart. Right. So we spend a lot of time talking around the head so that they begin to trust you don't heal the head you don't heal the heart with the head. You know, you have to heal the heart with the heart. So we have to find the language for your emotions. That's digging a lot of dirt and ground with some of us guys. Now, I'm a man, so I understand that because I ain't gonna tell you how I feel neither. So I get it. But so that sometimes can also, block the effectiveness of the process. But the most important thing is let your therapist know what you feel is not working, especially if you are paying them.
Yes.
Let them know what it is that you feel like you need. If you feel like you need more introspection, more homework, whatever it is, let them know, you know what, this isn't working, right? Because the truth of the matter is it's hard now to find therapists. It's not like you have many of them sitting around looking for clients at the moment. A lot of them are full, right?
Yeah.
So, they are.
Making sure you let the person know what it is that you need, what it is that you're looking for, and realize that, the therapy is not for getting advice. So if you're looking for advice, don't go to therapy, go to, I don't know where you would go. But,
life coach.
Therapy is about helping you discover introspection. It's for introspection. It's for you to grow. It's not about, necessarily just solving problems, but it's about your growth. How do I develop the coping strategies so that as I move from problem to problem, I can solve them?
Okay.
So let me just put this up here as just a public service announcement. Many professional organizations will pay for counseling sessions for their employees. Some health plans cover it as well. It is a benefit that is often untapped by employees. That's very true.
So
a lot
true.
of people don't realize that their job will pay for and their medical insurance will allow them to be able to do this thing. And so they're thinking, it costs me money, whatever, and this may be covered.
Yeah.
You got EAPs. Every insurance carrier is required to carry mental health.
You might have free telehealth too because of the pandemic.
True.
I know my insurance has been giving free telehealth since the beginning of 2020, and it runs out in December of 2020. And my therapist is actually about to start going back to the office 1 day a week. And I said, "Oh, awesome! I want to start coming back in." And then she told me, that the free telehealth runs through December. I was like, oh, I'll see you in January. It's cool. Let's keep doing telehealth while it's still free. So I'm just saying, people might want to look for that too. Telehealth might still be free.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this, because this is from one of our chimes. Primo said, "Intended self versus true self. Y'all better linger there." So give us a little bit more about that. I think David said that. Do you have a
that sounds like me.
But do either of you have a perspective on that? This whole idea of who we want to be perceived as opposed to who we actually are, and is that a very difficult thing for everybody to deal with?
I'm sure you deal with that, David, in your sessions with people. Oh yeah.
Sure. I deal with it. I deal with it myself. There's a public persona that many people put on, but that's not who they really are. That's their public persona, right? So how do I match my intended self? I want to be able to move from relationship to relationship. I want to be able to be compassionate. I want to be able to be kind, but yet I have this darkness, this pain in me that sometimes makes me say and do mean things, right? So my intended self is to treat someone kindly and love them, right? But my true self is, I'm selfish. And so one who's selfish can't love outside of the substance of who they are. So I can't love sacrificially if I'm selfish. So I want to be selfless, but I'm selfish. And so that's my true self. My intended self is I want to love you. So we have to figure out a way to get our true selves to match our intended selves. And that comes by one, identifying where it came from, identifying where I lack. What is the pain structure that I've developed that has caused me to develop this character as opposed to who I really want to be, and then see a way to figure out how we can mesh those two together. So it's really, your intended self is who you want to be. Your real self is not who you actually are, which is never who we want to be.
Right.
So Claire, were you challenged in that way in your sessions with your counselor? And are you getting to the point where you feel that you can be your true self and be okay with that?
I feel it's a little bit different than what you're saying. I feel like I'm always my true self, but I don't always show everyone everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I show is not false, but what I show is not everything. And for me, it's about emotional safety. Who can I trust with how much of myself? And that's really how I formed my friend group my entire life, and didn't know until I started going to therapy and talking about it.
Yeah,
and my therapist gave me the vocabulary to talk about it. But I choose people based on who I think can handle, and I date my friends too. There's a dating period in my head, and there's a period where I make a decision. Okay, is this going to stay a shallow friendship? And if so, it's fine. But is this going to be a shallow friendship? Or am I going to allow it to progress to something deeper? And do I have the emotional capacity to even handle another deep relationship right now? All of this stuff. Right. It kind of goes in my head, but I don't feel like I'm ever showing anything false. I feel like intended self and true self reminds me of justification and sanctification and justification.
Yeah,
it's justification.
Those are right words.
You are justified. You are declared a particular thing, and then sanctification is becoming what you've been declared.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of all going through that on some level, and also for me, I work at this comes up. I feel like every time I'm on the show, I bring up the fact that I work for a white institution in a white city.
Yes.
So for me, in order for me to be emotionally safe in an emotionally unsafe place,
I
have to package myself and present myself a certain way at work. Now, what I present is not false.
Right.
What I present is not false.
However,
but when I leave work, I'm not the same.
Right.
Wow.
I'm different.
And
when
really,
I'm around other people.
But the point is, you're doing that because you're trying to protect yourself.
And I find it's necessary.
Yes.
Because I get my emotional juices elsewhere. I don't get it from the place where I work. I get my professional juices over there, and they're excellent at that. But my emotional things, I know I can't get from there, so I just take it somewhere else. So that means there's a part of me that I leave at home when I go to work.
Okay, come on, David, cut her off. Let's see what you
You,
got
you
to
can
say.
tell, you could tell that Claire has done some serious work.
Yes.
And some serious introspection, because
Yes.
not everybody is comfortable enough being themselves
Right. Right.
That's
because they
hilarious.
don't like themselves.
That's true.
So
But I
why
think
would I be
also
comfortable with
sometimes the
myself?
people around them don't like them either. Like, like sometimes people are just mean because
Right.
of their own pain.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes you have to come to the fact that some people that are supposed to love you don't love you. And it's not actually not your fault that they don't love you, but it still hurts if they don't love you.
Right.
But
Like, that's
I
hard
think
stuff to deal with.
it is, and I think you're right about not wanting to be yourself because you don't like yourself. I think there are a lot of, and I see that as a teacher, where young students, especially middle school, y'all know that's crazy years in
Yeah.
life.
That's where you're really
But-
trying to find your identity in middle
Right.
school.
And so they don't like who they see, or they don't like who they are. I think because I personally think some people don't like who they are because they see other people that they want to be like. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's who I really want to be, so I really don't like this. So I go back to accepting yourself. Like, accepting this is who I am.
Who God made me to be.
Yeah, this is who
Yeah.
I am. I am this type of person. Now, I need to grow to be a better me, rather than trying to be this person over here or whatever, So I think it's a bit of all of that you guys just talked about.
Okay,
It's a bit of all of that.
this is coming up again, so we want to ask you, Claire, specifically a question about this, and then maybe David can chime in from the therapist standpoint as well. Having a therapist is not a one-size-fits-all. It takes time to find the right fit. However, I think it helps to know what you want from your therapist so things are clear. So our question to you, Claire, because you said lightning struck twice for you, so you don't have the perspective on going through several therapists till you find the right one. But the question is, what characteristics were you looking for in a therapist when you
How
were
did you know
How
that
did you
was-
know this is what I think I want?
Right.
So I knew I wanted a black female
Okay.
because I knew that there are things that I would not be able to talk about with a man. And I knew there were things I wouldn't be able to talk about with somebody who wasn't black. So I wanted a black female because I wanted to be able to be completely vulnerable with this person. So what I did was literally just start Googling. And for me, the Google search was very simple. I just put black therapist near me.
No, you did not.
And like at the time, one result came up.
Wow.
I mean,
So there you go.
You didn't have a choice.
You near Southern? Yeah, that's pretty much
that's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
And when I put that in, it's too many. And I don't know which one to pick.
right. I had the opposite problem. So what I did was I started doing research on the person. Like I started doing the Googling and the trying to find other stuff. And has this person published things? What kinds of things that they publish? Like all of those things let me know what this person's expertise was in.
Right.
And one thing that I remember reading from for this person, for my current therapist, is that it said something about she specialized in therapy, and I'm paraphrasing what it actually said. She specialized in therapy that had you unpack like your childhood upbringing
Wow.
to get to the root of stuff.
Okay.
And that for me sounded really interesting.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, let me go try this person.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like an official title for it. I just don't remember what it was, and I couldn't find it. And then I just had to muster up the courage to make the appointment. The first thing I had to muster up the courage to do was do the Google search, because
Right.
it took me a year to even do the Google search.
Wow.
Once I did the Google search and started researching, then I had to muster up the courage to make the phone call, just to make an appointment. And then I had to say to myself, this is not that deep. You can go to this person once and literally never go again.
Wow.
And that's the thing that
true.
kind of helped me go the first time.
Yeah.
That I didn't have to commit to going to this person that I had never met before for the rest of my life. But I needed to see. I needed more data. Google wasn't going to give me everything. I needed to say hello to the person and have
Yeah.
a session. And then with both of my therapists, like the moment I sat down with them, it was like we were old friends. I don't know how this happened, but it was like we were buddies. We'd known each other our whole lives, and we just started talking. So I knew the thing that I was trying to work on. So that's the thing that kind of got me to start searching. And then as I felt anxious about the search process, I just kept trying to remind myself that I hadn't committed to anything yet. So don't freak out about something that you haven't actually done. Like you haven't done anything yet. You know what I'm saying? That's what helped me.
Yes.
That,
Right.
that was my self-talk. It's like applying for a job interview. When you apply, your application actually means nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You didn't take the job. You didn't get it offered it yet.
That's what I'm saying. You haven't interviewed. You haven't done anything. So
Right.
so
You're just
it's like
applying.
you at the very least have to put yourself out there. But knowing that putting yourself out there doesn't mean you have to stay. If you don't like it, you can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do have to find out if you like it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, David, what do you tell people to help them in this?
So just what Claire said. If you want to find a therapist that's Black, you want to find a therapist that's a man, that's a woman, whatever it is, right? Put it in search. There's great listserv psychology today, good therapy, therapy tribe, therapy for Black girls, therapy for Black men. There's clinicians there's plenty of listservs out there, especially if you're Black, you want looking for a therapist, right? If you're looking for a particular age of a therapist, the Googling your therapist. So I had a client for 5 years that found out at year 5 that I was a pastor.
Oh, wow.
They didn't know all this time?
Nah, because I curse way too much in therapy. I'm a pastor.
I love it.
We talk about all kind of stuff. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they found out I was a pastor. And you know what they said to me? Man, if I knew you were a pastor, I would have never come to you.
Wow.
And we've been, I don't think we're even doing any work now. We just, talking after 5 years. But anyway,
Right.
they still come religiously every week. So first thinking what you want. Like a lot of people who are in the church want a Christian therapist. Well, not all Christian therapists are going to help you therapeutically. Right?
Wow.
If you're looking for a Christian therapist because you want the Bible to help you heal you can get that from your pastor, right?
Yeah,
That's his job, right? A Christian therapist may be able to understand what it is you're going through. Like I have a lot of Adventists call because they want someone that understands our weird Adventismness, right? I'm not taking you because I think that would be a crutch, right? There's a curiosity that's necessary for the therapeutic relationship. If we're too familiar, then we don't ask enough questions. That's why you don't counsel people because there's a lack of curiosity there.
Yes.
Curiosity is important for the therapeutic process. I have to be able to know nothing in order to ask the right questions.
Wow.
If you come to me and I already know you, then I'm not going to give you the benefit of having to enunciate what you're feeling. I'm going to make assumptions, and those assumptions are not going to be correct. So, with
deep.
that, go on and date therapists. If you get lucky, when you get lucky, it's great. It's awesome when you hit it off with someone right away. If not, then go find someone else. The only thing I'm going to tell you, if you can't find a therapist because none of them fit, look in the mirror, find out if it's you.
Okay.
Then go try someone else again.
Wow.
Go try someone else again.
Wow.
And you may need to commit to more than 2 or 3 sessions because in my practice, the first one is a consult. We talk about paperwork.
Yeah.
The second session, I get in all your business. We ask you all these questions. We don't get to work till like the 3rd or 4th session unless you're in crisis. If you're in crisis, we get to work immediately.
Right.
So you may need to give it just a little bit of time.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, so we have to wrap up soon. Go ahead,
We do, but someone is asking real quick because this is a good question. Is there any pre-work you think needs to go into?
That's what I say. I just put that up on the screen.
Okay, I didn't even look.
No, that's okay.
Yes. Is there a pre-work to be done before actual work with a therapist? Do you feel like there's things that we need to do before you go, or you just need to get in there?
Is that me or you? Whose question is this?
Listen, is there pre-work? Yeah, it's called life and living. You need to always be in the constant perpetual state of trying to improve yourself. So books, right?
Okay.
Books are helpful. Writing down things before you call these are the problem areas that I see in my life. Of course,
okay.
they may not be the only ones, right? They never are. Write them down. These are the problem areas that I see. These are the things I want to change. These are the things that I like about myself, the things I don't like about myself. These are the things. Go ask people, when you look at me or when you know me, go tell me, what do you think about me? Well, this is the things that people say about me. Bring the amalgamation of data that you collect, drop it on your therapist's lap and say, this is who I am, help me. And you've done some work to help the person,
Yes.
and then they'll be like, yeah, this is going to be difficult, but then it'll be a great relationship.
So real quick, Akua says, my therapist is a Christian, but it rarely plays a role. She mentions certain Christian things to help explain or emphasize something. So what, David, because that's a very good thing. If you're looking for somebody that's going to help you therapeutically,
Yeah.
then what am I looking for? I want a therapeutic counselor who also has a Christian perspective.
Sure.
If that's what I'm looking for, how do I know that this person is
How do you know the person?
not just balance?
'Cause that's what I would
How do
say.
I know that the person that calls himself a Christian counselor is actually going to use therapeutic methodology in order to help me? Like, what am I
and
looking
not
for
just
there?
say-
And not just be like your pastor who's just
Right.
gonna read the Bible to you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if they have a degree and a license, they're going to help you therapeutically, right?
So they
And
need to have a
these-
degree and a license.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of these listservs, you can select. You want someone who has a Christian belief system, right?
I
Okay.
see.
If that's
I see.
if that's what you want.
Okay.
Don't try to pick someone who is so much like you. So for some reason, I have a lot of female clients that haven't had success with female therapists, and so they want to try a male therapist. I'm like, okay, my other therapist was too nice to me. Well, you're not going to have that problem here, lady. So I'm right on. That's definitely not going to be your problem here. So give it a shot, man. It's a relationship. You don't always get every relationship right. So,
First time,
search for it.
Yeah, that's good.
So
And
there's one
relationships
person.
take a
Go
while
ahead,
to
sorry.
cultivate too.
That's true.
That is true.
Very
Like
true.
they don't just happen simultaneously. I mean, in an instant.
This is what we were hoping for tonight. I wanted to read this to you. This is amazing. I've been thinking about seeing a therapist because of current challenges. Perhaps tonight was the Lord's way of telling me that it's okay to do this to get better.
Wow, Gwen, this episode was for you.
This is what we were hoping
This
for. I'm
was
hoping
for
there's
you.
many people like that
Yes.
who feel, you know what, this is something I can do, something that I should do, something that really could help me.
Right.
Because as April and I shared before, our circumstance that we were in, that accident situation, actually had us emotionally broken on the inside, and we didn't even think
For
it was
years.
necessary to do anything.
Yeah.
It was an accidental therapy session that got us into actually getting therapy. That helped us.
And my one session just totally healed me.
Right.
One.
Right.
So, I mean, for that particular issue, because I need therapy for the rest. But I need to go back for all the other stuff. That was just one thing.
I was going to say, once I started therapy, I decided that I was going to treat therapy as part of my hygiene. Every day I brush my teeth, I floss, I shower, I go to therapy. Now, I don't go to therapy every day, but I'm just saying.
Not to the actual
Yes,
place,
but
but
you're
you're working
working.
on it. You're doing
You're
the
working
homework.
on that.
I made it a part of my lifestyle.
Yes.
So, because there are definitely days where I have a session coming up and I feel like I have nothing to say, or I just don't feel like it, like I'm tired, whatever. And my sessions are in the morning because I try to get them in before I go to work. So even though it's the summertime right now, I still have my slot. Sometimes I just don't feel like waking up to talk to anybody. But because I committed to this, I get up and all my therapist has to do is ask me a question. And then I wind up talking for an hour. I'm talking about talking nonstop for an hour. And I'm so thankful that I got up and did it, but it's because I'm not going to leave the house without brushing my teeth.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go on a date without taking a shower.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. So I'm also not going to, and this is just me personally, I'm also not going to cancel a therapy session unless it's an emergency.
Right.
I'm going to that thing because it's still true, even though I go to therapy regularly and have for a while, it's still true that there are things going on in my head and in my heart that I don't know that are happening. Even though I'm much more aware now, I still don't know some things. But my therapist has a way of asking me just the right kind of question. And she knows me at this point too. just the right kind of question. She knows when I'm talking around an answer and not actually talking about the answer.
Wow.
She'll stop me. Like she's really, really good. So when you have a therapist like that, I can't stop going. I can't. I have to keep going.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, well, we want to thank you guys for being on here. This has been great. We think this has been helpful. A lot of the chimes are clearly have benefited from this conversation. Before you go, David, I want to ask you to tell us a little bit more about your counseling service, Imara Counseling. Are you taking clients still? And if you're not, is your practice taking them?
Yes. I am not taking clients.
Sorry.
You're too busy.
I don't think I've taken a new client in like a year.
Wow.
I'm not taking new clients. However, we do have 15 therapists in our practice that do have availability. We can get you an appointment with them if you reside in the state of Maryland. We can't help you if you do not reside in the state of Maryland, because all of our therapists are licensed to practice in Maryland.
Okay,
Nice.
That's great.
But tell us a little bit more about it so we can,
Like about what?
What's the
about your
site?
counseling service. What's your website?
imaracounseling.com.
And it's on your shirt, so they know how to spell it. IMARA.
Yeah. I'm at work right now, so.
Are you still there?
Okay.
Yes,
You did say you had a session
my
right
last
before this
session
show.
ended right before I came on here. Yes, I worked today. imaracounseling.com. We had for some reason we don't have a diverse staff at all. I've tried to hire non-black people, but I have a full staff of black people. I've tried. They just don't want to come work for me. So we're a black agency. I've tried. I've tried diversity.
Because, you've tried that.
Do that again.
Did I mess up? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, that's great, man.
All right. Thank you so much,
hold on.
guys.
One more thing before you go, David.
Yes, sir.
Your camera, your lighting, your sound, it's superb.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming from you all. That means a lot, man. Because I was about to tell y'all, I don't understand how y'all get y'all stuff so clear, man. I stole this mic from an old church of mine, so that's why it sounds good. It's actually
Okay. Very nice.
I
A
did
real
steal
mic.
it.
Sanctified.
They're still looking for it.
They're still looking for it now.
Maybe they're watching. I have it.
Well, thank you guys.
It's
So
actually the pulpit mic.
That's why it sounds so good.
wow. Well, there you go. Look at it. Just showing it right now. Look at that.
Pulpit mic. I'm not
Oh,
playing.
that's nice.
I stole it from the church.
That looks really good, man.
Wow, so I have to read this. Kenya says, okay, so clearly I was led here for a reason. I'm not familiar with this channel. Too bad I missed the live.
It's okay, Kenny. You can go back and watch it.
Yes, because you were led here for a reason. Yes, you were. So this is definitely something we all need.
That's right. So as soon as this is over, I believe it will. It'll be available to be watched all the way through. And there's some stuff here you may want to.
And as soon as it's over, I will be Googling. Thank you, Cynthia. She put up several sites, several places to go to.
It was several of the things that David mentioned as
talked
well.
About Psychology Today, Talkspace, Good Therapy, Therapy Tribe, and you said Black Therapists for Girls. I know I've seen that one. Something like that.
Therapy for black girls.
on there.
Therapy for black
girls.
men.
Okay.
There's plenty of them.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
thank you guys.
guys.
Thanks for your availability. Thanks for your vulnerability, your
Yes,
openness to
yes.
share. And hopefully what happened is that you helped to change people's minds on the benefits of therapy.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, David, who is your describe your nightmare client, but I won't do that.
I don't have one. I don't have one.
Wow.
Is it because you figure out beforehand whether or not you want to work with them? You're like, I'm not taking that.
No. No matter who you are, what you present with, I got you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I got you. It
beautiful.
don't matter. It doesn't
That's
matter.
cool,
The people who come in with the most problems are the easiest because all they do is talk. I just got to be like, oh, so tell me more about that. And then they'll talk for like an hour. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll see you next week. So I'll see you later. And I've done nothing. It's like,
But that really does show that getting it off your chest, sometimes, we don't talk about things. So, and you
Makes a
want to be able to
difference.
talk about things with people, someone that you trust that's not going to, judge you in a way that, So, anyway, thanks, guys.
Thank you guys.
And you can go home to your lovely wife now.
That's true, man. Dang, you
Who
can't.
kept you from your...
I thought you were at home. My bad, man.
no. It's okay, man. Don't worry.
We appreciate this. All right, guys.
See y'all next time.
See y'all next time. All right.
All right. That was great.
That was really good.
Literally amazing.
I learned a lot.
I did too. I am team Claire and...
I am team Claire and David definitely tonight.
Yeah,
but you can be team April anyway.
That's true. Or team John if you want to.
You know?
You can use your emojis to say who you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Team John, team April. Obviously, we didn't weigh in on much today or really disagree on anything. We were excited to have this duo with us today, who I think helped to change some perspective. I think. So hopefully it was a good episode for you.
This episode was good. I gotta do the banking.
Look at Teshoy talking about y'all been trying to end the show for 10 minutes. Yes, Teshoy, this happens almost weekly. We have a really tough time ending, especially when we have good guests. We want to ask them just more and more questions all the time. You know what I'm saying? Primo said he's team Imara counseling tonight.
Ah, I like that. All right, we can do that.
So go ahead and put your stuff in there. Are you team John, team April? I guess you can say team David or team Claire. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody's really doing that because they're team everybody right now.
Oh, Brian says, I'm just getting here, so I'm team both. Laugh out loud.
Oh, you were late tonight, Brian.
Well, that means that's why we're... Madeline says she's team Claire and David.
I'm okay with that, Madeline, even though you are team April no matter what.
Clamore told me, unfortunately, I was hashtag team late. But I'll make it up next time. That's okay, Clamore, no problem. Elaine's team
Elaine.
April and team great discussion. Great, I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's
Elaine
awesome.
got my back no matter what. I love you, girl.
All right, y'all. So remember that we have another thing that's happening that feels like is actually sort of mental health adjacent, and that is the golf tournament that's coming up. That's for
That's right.
What do you call them? For husbands and wives, if you want to.
This when when it's late. John's like, yeah. So
brothersgolf.org. You need to go to that website and check it out and use our code CHIMES10 for 10% off. You can do this up through August 1st to be able to join and be a part of that. So
yes, but you can still register after that. This is the early bird
That's
special.
right. You get an early bird special and everything like that. Use this now. So
October 3rd through the 6th, and it's going to be on a beautiful Legends Resort in Myrtle Beach. So join us there.
Yeah, man. All right, y'all. We'll be back next week. We'll actually be back on Friday with our normal episode. Remember that we actually have our audio podcast available now on Apple and Google and why are you dancing all the time, man?
Because it makes us look good. It's real good.
That's true. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Love you too.
Love you guys. All right.